It's nearly impossible for you to beat the markets. All right, now pay attention to how I said nearly and not just impossible, because there is a way to beat the markets that we have today. The crypto market, the stock market, futures market, whatever market you're thinking about, doesn't matter. This applies to all the markets. We're going to be breaking down how the markets actually work and how people actually have the advantage over the markets. All right. We're going to start from the basic, not even concept level, strategy level, from the basic, bottom, simplest terminology. All right. Now, first, we have to figure out, how does the market even work? How does it move? The market consists of transactions of buyers and sellers at different price points. If we have more buyers at a certain price level, that means the price is going to drive up. If there's more sellers at a certain price level, the price is going to go down. Basic supply and demand. We all know this. Okay? We know that there isn't only one person in the market. Millions of people are trading the markets every single day, maybe even like hundreds of millions, whatever. There's more than one person in the markets. That's the point. There's more than one person. All right? So the movement of the market is not based on one person, but of hundreds of people. There's people like me and you in the markets every single day. And there's people like the smart money, the hedge funds, who trade with hundreds of millions of dollars and enter positions way larger than ours. Everyone who places a position has their own judgment. Their own judgment as to why they think it's going to go up or why they think it's going to go down. You might think it's going to go, a certain stock is going to go up for a certain reason. I might think it's going to go down for a certain reason. The accumulation of all these judgments as a whole, collectively, is the reason the stock market moves the way it does. Let's just talk about the stock market, actually, just to keep it simple. The stock market. The judgment you have as to why you think the stock is going to go up, and the judgment I have to why I think it's going to go down, and the judgment someone else might have as to think it's not going to go anywhere, all these judgments added up are the reasons why we place our positions, right? Why I place long, why I place buy, why you place sell, why that person doesn't trade today. The accumulation of all these transactions is what causes the price to move, is the reasoning the price of a certain stock moved the way it did. So, the conclusion we can come to is that the stock market or a certain stock does not move because of one reason or one person's reasoning, but of a collection or an accumulation of everyone's reasoning as a whole. So the stock market moves not for one reason, but for many reasons. Now, what do we conclude from there is that there is no definitive reason as to why the market moves the way it does. If anyone tells you they know exactly how the market moves and they're 100% right all the time, they're selling and they're selling you something, run away from them as fast as possible, because they do not know what they're saying. Because we know that the market moves based on multiple reasonings and not just one person's reasoning or one reasoning, we know that there is no one reason to explain how the market moves. And you can't be right 100% of the time. Let's say there is a scenario where we figure out the exact reasoning on how the stock market moves. All right? Let's say I figured out, or me and you figured out how the stock market moves. We found the secret strategy to be right 100% of the time. Okay? Now, the chances of me and you figuring that out are extremely low because we don't have the technology to figure that out. But let's say we do figure it out. Okay? We're the only ones who know. And slowly, I promise you, we are not going to be the only ones to figure this out. If there is a strategy to figure out 100%, to figure out that how the stock market moves 100% of the time, slowly people will find out, especially people who have access to a lot more expensive technology to figure this complicated stuff out. Okay? And slowly, when people start to figure out, the price movement of the markets are going to shift. And it's not going to move the same way it did when only me and you were figuring it out. And then guess what happens? Then our strategy doesn't work as good. Because me and you were able to profit when we were the only ones who knew how the market moved. Okay? Let me drink my water real quick. Throat's getting dry. So we were able to profit when only me and you knew how it moved. Because if everyone figures out the secret method to move the market or how the market moves, they're going to stop trading and using their judgment the way they do it already. And when they do that, the market's not going to move the same way it did when only me and you figured it out. Therefore, our strategy is not going to work the same. It might start losing here and there. And there you go. That 100% win rate strategy you thought you had is gone down the drain, because that's not how trading works. You can't be right 100% of the time, and there's no definitive reason as to why the market moves. So, now that we know you can't be right 100% of the time, something I will tell you is there is a way we can be right most of the time. There is a way we can have the higher probability of being right compared to being wrong, but we can't be 100% right. We can't be right all the time. So how do we get this higher probability of being right? By higher probability, I mean either having a higher win rate, meaning you're right more than you're wrong, or catching a lot bigger moves when you're right. So they outweigh the amount of times that you're wrong if you're wrong more than you're right. So those two scenarios are considered higher probability. The way we do that is by analyzing certain price patterns in how the price moves. You can use indicators, you cannot use indicators, it does not matter. I prefer you don't use indicators. Observe price on its own and patterns in the different price movements that you can visualize every single day and in the past. Backtest, go on the charts, go back at different price movements and see if the patterns that you recognize when you're watching the markets move in real time, do they work in the past? And do they win or do they lose? Through that testing and experimenting, you develop a theory, okay? This theory is our strategy, essentially. It's the same thing. I'm just going to call it a theory. This strategy that we've implemented is our theory as to our reasoning is how we think the market moves. And again, we can't be right 100% of the time. Our theory might not be applicable in certain scenarios, but it should work in majority of the scenarios that we executed in, or that it shows up actually. Okay. So after further testing, now we've developed a theory that we're using every day. Now, whatever, not every day, doesn't matter how often you're trading. Just use the theory that you learned and by observing the price patterns and trade that theory only, because you know that theory gives you the statistical advantage over the average trader and you're able to profit off the market movements. So use that theory only and don't use anything other than that theory, because if you go against that theory or use something that does not involve what that theory stands by, then you're skewing your success rate, because you're going against the profitable system, the high probability system, I should say, that you invented. The analogy I like to give is the casino. The casino has a set of systems, which are the games essentially. Hold on, water break. Jesus Christ, bro, my mouth is so dry. It's my first YouTube video and I literally can't talk for over fucking 5 minutes without my mouth drying up. But anyways, yeah, the analogy I like to give is the casino. The casino has a set of systems, a set of games where they've crafted and they've tested to the point where they know that those games over the long run gives them the higher probability of being right over the average player who comes in. Matter of fact, most people who come in and try to play and win some money from their games. Like, think of any game in the casino. Over a long course of time, if you start playing that game and actually try to win, you'll most likely end up losing, because the casino have thoroughly tested different human patterns and developed a game that gives them the statistical edge over the average player, most players. Okay? If someone comes into the casino and wins some money off their game, off their first or second round, whatever, like a chunk of money, the casino doesn't shit themselves and eliminate that game or change up the way the game works, unless it's a pattern that happens so often to the point where the casino is now not as much right as they are wrong. They don't have the higher probability anymore. These people who found the secret code to not give these casinos the higher probability are starting to win more. And the casino's not going to shit themselves, okay? Crap, I literally lost train of thought. What was I saying? If a player comes in and starts winning and finding the secret method, an example of this is when casinos are only using single deck cards in blackjack. People figured out the method of counting cards, which I'm sure some of you have heard of. People figured out how to count cards because this gave them the statistical edge over the casino. Only professional people were able to figure this out. I'm sure some people also know, but whatever. The point is people figured out how to count cards, which defeated the purpose of having a single deck in the casino. So what did the casino do in this case? Because they found the pattern that players were taking advantage of to give the players the higher probability of being right, the casino ended up switching up their single deck cards for multi-deck cards. They started using 4, 6, 8 decks of cards, so it's a lot harder to track how many cards are left in the deck. If we have one deck, it's easy to know that we have only 4 kings or 4 aces, 4 twos, whatever. If you see 2 aces already show up, you know that there's a lot lower probability of another ace showing up because it's already showed up. 2 of them, 2 out of 4. Okay, but if we have 8 decks, it's a lot harder to track how many cards of what specific cards are shown up and statistically calculate that probability of how many cards there are left and what cards can show up. So counting cards are a lot less effective and a lot harder to do when there's multiple decks. So in that sense, the casino switched up their strategy, switched up their theory based on common patterns they noticed in human behavior that caused them to not have the higher probability. After they figured out this pattern, they successfully developed a new concept or new aspect of their theory that was helping them maintain their higher probability of being right and defeating the player. So we have to play like the casino. We have to play the markets the same way the casino plays with these people's money. Okay? If we think like the house and play like the house, we'll win like the house. Okay? That's how you have to think of it. Observe. So these are the main points. Observe different price patterns that give you the higher probability of being right. And remember, you can't be right 100% of the time. And there's no definitive reason as to how the chart moves exactly to the T. There is no reason for that. And don't get disrupted by small losses that happen throughout the markets, throughout using your theory. Unless it becomes a major loss, like I said about the scenario where people count cards, then you should start switching up your theory. But other than that, if it's a small loss, if you still have the higher probability over the long run, do not switch your theory or your strategy. Keep using the same thing. Those 4 things that I just mentioned, if you can understand those 4 concepts and actually apply them to the charts every single day, apply them to the trading market every single day, and actually make sense out of it, you will slowly see success. First of all, theory is not the only thing. You have to have the psychology down, of course, but this is the main thing. You have to know that you can't win 100% of the time. It's okay to lose, make small losses, make sure you're maintaining your high probability of being right. Always observing patterns, because you have to be aware if your certain concepts of your strategy, of your theory are not working anymore. You have to be able to adapt and be able to change, because market conditions are always shifting. People who were here yesterday might not be here today in the market, and their judge rate might not be the same as yesterday. Therefore, we have different price movements every single day. Okay, so you can't be right 100% of the time because of all this. So, think like the house, play like the house, win like the house. There's so many topics I went over that I can dive deeper in If you want to hear any specific topic, let me know down in the comments. This is my first video, so it's probably not gonna be the best. It will get better over time, I promise you. This is the first of many videos. And yeah, drop a comment down below of a certain video you'd like to see about a certain topic within the trading industry or anything in general around this industry. Let me know down in the comments, and hopefully this gave you some more value and helped you with your trading career and your mindset.